I should have probably checked on that before I started the stream. That would have been dope. Paul, let me know if you can hear me now. I feel like the old Sprint commercial. Can you hear me now? So yeah, if you're just joining the stream, let me make sure I'm actually coming through. There we go. I'm actually peeking a little bit. Let me back off. Got the pop filter ready to go. Side note, would you guys be super bummed if I did use this microphone in this setting for my reviews? I've started to do this type of setup in my normal reviews, and it's just so much easier to keep this setup and do my thing. I just know how some people feel about microphones in the shot, and I don't want to make the internet mad. Last thing I want to do is make the internet mad. So we're gonna look at some of the footage. Honestly, just kind of take a glance at some of the footage I took with the Sigma FP, with the Sigma 24 to 70 f2.8. If you are here on my channel for pocket 4K content, know, and I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'll reiterate, know that I'm still making pocket content. The FP is a new camera. I'm doing a lot of testing, and I want to put out my like month-long first impressions video. So I'm just trying to pack in as much content as possible. And Sigma was gracious enough to hook me up with a few lenses to test with the FP, and so I want to do my due diligence to do as much as I can with those lenses while I have them. I'll be honest, after like last week, I was getting kind of burnt out. I don't usually like doing all the lens reviews back to back to back to back. I could just get super burnt out and want to do something creative. But I think I have a creative take on this lens this week. Yeah, I was inspired by Macro World. There's a channel on YouTube called Macro World. If you haven't checked it out, do that. It will benefit your life. But I may do more macro stuff on the channel, and this lens has some macro-esque capabilities. So we're going to do some cool stuff this week. It's not going to be your run-of-the-mill. The stuff we're seeing in the stream in Davinci Resolve will be more run-of-the-mill like stuff. Normal frames. It's all night stuff, so it's going to be low light testing. But I'm over the weekend going to be shooting some more like artistic texture stuff with it. So I'm pretty pumped on it. So if you're new to the stream or you came in and there was no audio, my name is Anson. Welcome to the channel. And if you like budget conscious filmmaking gear, or you're a new filmmaker, or, kind of just starting out in the, this industry, or this, if you're like me, kind of hobby, you're in good company. That's pretty much what this channel is. It's kind of just learning the filmmaking process, getting used to the filmmaking process, and talking about gear occasionally, probably most of the time. So yeah, I'm trying to get more into tutorials and just like general information about filmmaking rather than just gear, but gear seems to do well on the channel, so it happens. Eddie, what's up, man? Hello, Anson. What lens should I buy for vlogging for the GH4? 12 to 35. 12 to 35. The Lumix 12 to 35 2.8 is amazing. It's stabilized, and so if you're vlogging, it will be a stable lens. You may know or may not already know the GH4 does not have IBIS, and so it's not stabilized. So definitely the Lumix 12 to 35 native lens 2.8 has stabilization, so go to there, and it's super versatile, which is one thing I love about the 24 to 70 that I'll be putting up on Tuesday. So that being said, I made the mistake last week. Let me tell you what. I made a lot of mistakes last week. I'm so glad you guys are gracious enough for coming to these streams, even though they are chaos. I was filming in 60 frames per second. My ISO was like 3200. I was wondering what was wrong with my shot. That was what was wrong with my shot. And I put the camera where right where on the computer, right on my desk where it blocks a part of my Davinci Resolve screen that I needed. So I've already taken care of that by obviously putting out in the right settings on the camera, first of all, but then also going ahead and putting the clips on timeline. So none of that this week. Eddie had a follow-up question. Second version, I hear that is better than the first one. Um, Honestly, I've heard that both are pretty equal. Other than I like the second version or the Mark II, just from the fact that it's I think it's solid black and it has maybe some color in the letters. I'm a huge fan of low profile cameras, so I tend to go more like a black theme on my cameras and lenses. That would be the reason I go with the Mark II. But if that does not bother you, go with the Mark One. I've heard plenty of people love the Mark One, and there's not much of a difference with the Mark Two. Save some money. So again, that's just personal preference for me. All right. I hope you guys have had a great week. If you're in the States, you know this week has been chaos, just chaos. And so I hope you guys have had a good week. I know my house has been just glued to the news and everything. So I hope you guys are not doing that. So, I mean, if you are and that's your thing, by all means. But I know I'm not normally that type of person, but I was this week. So, edit and chill. Let's do some editing and chilling. Now, if you've never joined one of the streams, I'm gonna just look through some footage, color grade a little bit, maybe work with some of the footage, and you guys can get an idea of my process. But I have the chat open on my phone. If you guys chat it up, please get involved. Ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, if you're curious about something in my process and it doesn't make sense, please let me know. Ask me the question. Quippy, what's up? First of all, hey, how are you? It says, hey, Anson, I'm sure sleepless night in the States at the moment. I was out shooting until almost midnight last night, and I didn't even notice because that's just how this week has been. It has been an insane week. So thank you for your condolences on the week. So let me just turn this on my phone so I can have my chat up. Cool. Eddie's, thanks a lot. You have also helped me on Instagram with some advices, and I love the content. The type of creator which I love to hear with a coffee and some snacks. I don't want to bother you too much live. Eddie, don't feel like you're bothering me. I love answering questions. That's 75.5 of the reason why I have this channel. So please ask questions. If also, yes, to that point, if you are again new to the channel, I answer a lot of questions on Instagram. It's not one I get super involved on. I probably post like once a week, twice a week, maybe even. But Instagram DMs is a really good way of asking questions. If sometimes I don't see it right away because my notifications maybe come up like in the middle of the night, and I have like a do not disturb that comes up in the middle of the night. But I'll definitely answer your questions. As well as Twitter, everything Twitter, Instagram are all Anson and Co. Hit me up on DMs on Twitter. I don't do Facebook a ton, but I will try to get to you there if you ask that question. But by all means, Eddie, to you specifically, I'm happy to answer these questions. So please do not feel like you're bothering me in the slightest. So cool. All right, let me go over. I forgot my hotkeys. Nope, wrong one. Oh, good. All right, Davinci Resolve. All right, so the other thing I like about these later streams, these last streams I've been doing, is, let me see, cool. Is you also get an idea of what Cinema DNG looks like as far as like my process for Cinema DNG right now. So that being said, I have to go through my process again today, so you'll see what that looks like. So I've got them all the clips loaded up in here. Some of these clips I haven't even seen. I filmed them pretty much until the battery ran out last night. And so some of the clips I got in the last portion of the battery, I haven't even seen yet. So just went downtown. I wanted to get out. I felt creative. I wanted to get out and get some shots. I'll tell you what. I feel like that might be blown out. I'll see if I can cover that highlight. I went, if you're like me, you get ready to go to a shoot or get ready to go film something, and inevitably you forget something. And last night I was feeling really good. I've been trying to go minimal, like not even carry a bag, just like carry the camera, maybe take a gimbal with me, put it in the trunk, or a tripod, put it in the trunk if I need it. Tripods are like my best friend. None of my cameras are stabilized. I don't own any stabilized lenses. I love tripod work. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people are not a huge fan of tripods. That is not me. I love tripods. Plus, when you film yourself a lot, it is really helpful. But I went, got downtown. I was so hyped. I was like, I'm ready to do this. I'm feeling creative. And did not bring the HDMI cable for my monitor, which I love the FP. It's a small camera, but that monitor in any decent scenario is borderline unusable. It's just so small. And so it's really hard to compose a shot with such a tiny monitor. And I'm sorry if you hearing kind of bangings. I'm moving some stuff around my desk. But all that to say, I thought I did pretty well with the framing of everything, despite the monitor situation. So a little bit of creative, different stuff tonight. Like, so I used the Tiffin Black Pro Mist. I need to put that in the title. The Black Pro Mist on a lot of these shots. That's why you get a lot of the bloom in some of these lights that you have going on here. 2470 is not a soft lens. I am definitely using a Black Pro Mist. Am I the only one losing the plate from the gimbal and getting panic attack until I find it? It's always hidden somewhere, magic hidden pocket. I won't lie to you. That happens to me on the reg. Maybe not with the gimbal plate, but I will constantly put something in like a random pocket in my bag, which is partially the reason why I just try not to use a bag if I can avoid it. But I'll end up putting it in a pocket and forget that I put it in that pocket. I'm just like, I don't know where that thing went. I've got a couple of things right now. I'm like, I don't know if I actually even still own this anymore. All right, so I'm going to really quick convert these over to a Blackmagic color space. If you missed my last stream, basically that process, so I have them all loaded on a timeline. And I think this is going to be my workflow where I load all the clips on a timeline, get them in a Blackmagic color space, and then when I'm done doing the video, basically export them all out in that Blackmagic color space, but in a ProRes light. That seemed to work for my last video. After I was done with the video, I just basically took that timeline that just had all my B-roll and exported all as ProRes light. And that way it did not eat up long-term storage space. Maybe short-term storage space still with the Cinema DNG, but not long-term. I'm also doing a lot of it in 1080 because simply I get high frame rates in 1080. That's one downside of the FP. You don't have any high frame rates in 4K. 30 frames per second, to me is, you can go like 80% the speed, and that to me is nothing. So I usually go down to 1080 to get about 60 frames per second. I'm huge on 60 frames per second. I've gotten away from using 120. In this camera does 100 frames per second in 12-bit RAW, which is impressive. But even then, I'm just like, that's just so slow. I have huge issues in trying to actually do anything usable with something that's that slow. Okay, so this process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this this clip, and I'm going to go into the color tab of Davinci Resolve and basically go to the camera raw settings here. I'm going to go over where it says project, go down to clip, and then I might change my white balance potentially if I think there's a couple clips I didn't do the right white balance, knowing that it's raw, then I can pretty much do whatever I want. But I'm going to change it from Rec 709 to Blackmagic. Oh, like that alone, you see, look at this. This is what I love about this. This is what I love about RAW in general, especially cinema, just RAW, Cinema DNG, compressed RAW, whatever. But the fact that if this were not RAW, I'd have a huge issue in recovering that light. But as soon as I flip this over to Blackmagic, that light's there. It may be still slightly overexposed. Let me see if I can save my highlights. That sometimes will help. I've noticed, and I said this last time, when I put it into Blackmagic, the Blackmagic color space, and specifically the film gamma, the highlights sometimes, I think it more so helps out with like sunsets and things like that, but like that doesn't really do much in this shot. So I might just keep it off just so there's not any like over processing of the image. What was the difference here? I think it was a focal difference, like a focusing point difference. I think in the shot after, I focused a little bit less on the telephoto side. So I basically just brought the focus point in a little bit on the second one. So I might be slightly out of focus or slightly more in focus in the second shot. But honestly, I can't really tell. So I'm going to do both these clips just in case I need this one. I mean, it's the same, I'm doing the same thing. So it's not really doing much. But it is what it is. Oh, can you guys hear the background music? I've tried to loop in some background music so you're not just like bored hearing me. If you can hear the background music, or for that matter, you should be able to hear me. Let me know. Let me put this over here. I might raise that music volume because when I was watching the stream back last week, it was a little low. I don't know if I like this shot. I try to go with the rule of thirds on this one, but honestly, it probably would work better if I just like center aligned it, because now I get this building over here, and I'm just not a huge fan of that shot. I may not use that. I like this shot. So basically, a lot of these shots happen just in a parking garage downtown, where this shot, I was looking down at the street and tried to have some foreground with the ledge of the parking deck. And so I was like, okay, let me try to get this shot right where I want it. I want some motion. So I was waiting for somebody to walk through, and I just so happened to catch the bus right at the right time. And I think I literally caught it right at the right time. So we'll put that in the BM color space. No, that doesn't really do much. But yeah, so like right now, like yeah. So I like the fact